How y'all doing? Today we're going to make a pot roast. We're going to make, I got a boneless chuck roast, and it's USDA choice. It's actually 2 of them here. We got about 2 pounds a piece. And we're going to season these up. We're going to make a heck of a pot roast tonight. Now, if you can get them bone in, you can get a chuck 7 bone roast. That's the best thing to get. It has a little bone there, looks like a 7, but they didn't have those. So I had to get these. They're boneless chuck. Not chuck English roast, but the chuck roast. Those are my favorite ones to use. So anyway, we got to make a couple decisions. First off, about our thickening of the gravy. A lot of people, you know, when you blacken the pot roast, or when you blacken it, when you sear it, they want to go ahead and put flour on it. And then when you make your vegetables, first they want to put flour in there so it'll thicken the gravy as it cooks. I don't necessarily want to do that this time. I want to go ahead and thicken my gravy at the end. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that and reduce it down and everything. So first, we'll get, we got our roast over here. See if I can get you zoomed in a little bit. I've got a cast iron skillet heating up with some vegetable oil on it. I'm going to season my roast a little bit. I've got some salt and pepper with a little bit of garlic powder and a little bit of slap your mama. And we're just going to put that on there good on both sides of this roast. And just, I mean, sprinkle it on there good, because this is a lot of meat. It's going to take a good little bit of seasoning to get on there. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to pat that down. I'm going to turn it over and we'll get both sides. Okay, now I got it seasoned. I'm going to go ahead and get my meat in this hot skillet here with a little bit of vegetable oil. See if I can get both of them in there. Oh yeah. Now we'll let this brown a couple minutes on each side. I'm going to just keep checking on it while it's browning. This is going to give it a lot of good flavor just to brown this meat like this. Okay, let this go about 1.5 minutes. Check it here. See what kind of brownness we're dealing with. Oh yeah, look at that. Perfect right there. Look at that brown. Now that's what you want to see. That nice sear on that meat. Go ahead and flip this other one. Okay. We'll let it go about another 1.5 minutes on this other side. Then we're going to set these aside. That's good. That's what you want to see right there. Okay, we got these all browned down. I'm going to take them off and we're going to set these aside now. That nice color on that. You cannot skip this step there. This is very important. Okay, we got a lot of fat and oil still in that pan, so I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of a little bit of this oil. We'll drain some of this off. Hold on a second. Alright, got the oil drained off. Now what I want to do, I want to go ahead, see if you can see this pan real good here. I'm going to add some butter, okay, to this pan. Alright. What we're going to do is we're going to start cooking our vegetables in here. See this butter? Oh man, this is good stuff here. See all that stuff stuck to the bottom? We want to get all that to cook these vegetables in. Go ahead and melt this butter. And start with some of these vegetables. First off, I've got some mushrooms. This is about, I guess, 1 pound or 2 of mushrooms are sliced up. These will be real good in there. You get this butter all melted down and add these. Just kind of scrape along the bottom of this pan, get all these good bits off of there. That's nothing but flavor. Okay, add these mushrooms. Some heat just a little bit here. Now I'm going to stir these mushrooms around, get everything all coated. Like I said, it's going to start pulling this stuff off the bottom of this pan. It's real good. Look at all that stuff just sticking to them mushrooms. That's good. Right now I got these mushrooms stirring around here. I'm going to go ahead and add an onion. I got 1 onion chopped. Go ahead and add it. Do the same thing, just stir it around a little bit. I'm going to let this saute 3 or 4 minutes, just sitting here stirring it like this until these onions and mushrooms start to just cook down just a little bit. Okay, I know you can see that. I hope you can see that wonderful color we got on those vegetables there. Now I've got a rest of the packet is frozen. It's miracle, it's carrots, onions, and celery, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this in there because this is gonna add some little chunkies to the gravy. Go ahead and open it up all the way. We'll add it. Let it be cooking down. So we'll just let everything hang out here and cook just for a few minutes, and let this stuff thaw out and cook down just a little bit. Okay, now just for flavor and a little bit of saltiness, I've got some beef broth or whatever. You can just use store-bought or you know, bouillon cubes or something. I just got a cup of it. If you notice now, those onions and stuff have already put off a lot of juice. Okay, so we're just going to use that to get some saltiness in this dish. Okay, now I'm going to take my beef and I'm going to put it over here in my crock. If I can get everything situated in here. First off, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to season this bottom part of the beef. Wash my hands here. I've got some oregano. A little bit of oregano on there. I've got some thyme. Get this open. A little thyme on there. Now I'm going to put these ones that I seasoned sides down in here. So I can season the other side. Push everything around so it'll fit. Cram it up in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to season those top parts, and then we will go ahead and put this the vegetables on top. So I'm going to go back with this thyme a little bit more of that. A little more of this oregano right there. That'll be good. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn this off here on these vegetables and get me a good pot holder. We're just going to pour these vegetables and all this juice right here over the top of it. Hope we don't spill nothing. Alright. Everything in there. Now, what I'll do is I'll cover that, put it in my crock pot, and I'm going to set it on high. I'm going to put it on there for 6 hours. So by the time I get home, it'll all be ready to move to the next step. The beef's going to be done. We're going to take it off, and we're going to take the rest of this juice, and we'll make one heck of a gravy. Okay, the roast has been cooking in this crock pot here for about 5.5 hours. And I want you to just see how tender it is. Hopefully, zoom in there a little bit. Just bubbling here. What we're going to do, I'm going to try to pick a piece of it up. Look at it. It just falls apart. Just falling apart. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the roast, I'm going to take it out of the crock pot, and I'm going to put it in this little serving dish right here. And then we're going to deal with all that juice in there that we're going to try to reduce to make that gravy out of. So let me go ahead and get this roast out of here and all the vegetables and put in the serving dish, and then we're going to deal with this juice. Okay, got my roast out. I mean, it's just so tender, just falling apart tender. What I'm going to kind of do is defat a little bit. Little pieces of big fat I see, I'm going to go ahead and just take that out, throw in the garbage here. But then I'm going to scoop the vegetables out, and we're going to strain that juice that's still in the pot. Okay, so I got all my roast, my vegetables out. We'll go ahead and put a little tin foil over this serving dish. Oh, I hate how that stuff acts sometimes. Get this full. Put this over this. We'll just keep this here. And now I got the juice right here that I strained. We want to get this juice to reduce. Well, first we're going to try to defat some of it, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. Okay, defat this juice. I'm going to go ahead and pour it in like a pitcher here. See, I got about this much, and I'm going to set this in the refrigerator. I'm going to let this cool for about 20 minutes, and we're going to see this fat's going to come to the top, and I'm going to be able to scoop it right off. Okay, while we're waiting for that, the juice from the roast to settle out a little bit, and, so we can separate the fat, I'm going to explain a couple of things why I did the way I did on this roast recipe. First off, I don't know if I explained this before or not, but the reason I didn't flour the roast before I browned it or put flour in there while I was cooking it is because I wanted to reduce that solution of that gravy or that au jus after I cooked the roast. And if I put flour in there after it was cooked, or before it was cooked, and then I'd gone to reduce the juice later, by boiling that juice with that flour in there, that wouldn't be a good thing for a long time trying to reduce it. You could end up actually burning that flour or giving it a bitter taste. The second thing, the reason I'm going to let the fat and everything settle to the top and defat it before I reduce it, you don't want to bring something to a rapid boil and reduce with the fat still in it, because that'll cause the fat to get all muddied in your au jus or in your stock, and that's not a good thing either. So you want to go ahead and get most of the fat out before you start doing any major reducing to the sauce. And see, right now, as you can see, it's going ahead, it's starting to separate. There's the fat there. You got all the particles, all those stuff, it's falling down to the bottom. So what we'll do is let some more of this stuff falling down the bottom. We'll get that fat off. We'll get the juice out. Try to leave most of that sediment at the bottom. We'll have a pure, nice au jus there. Okay, now everything is settled out more. I'm going to take a dipper. I'm going to just dip down in here. Now I'm going to put it right below the surface, and I'm just going to get a lot of this fat, as much as I can, just out of here, just like that. See that fat just going in there. Now I'm going to keep dipping here on the top until I get mostly all that fat out of there. I'll do that, and I'll just put that fat in a little cup or down the drain or something like that. That's the way we're going to do it until we remove all the fat out of the stock here. Now what you might want to do is bring some hot water over here in your sink so you don't take chances of clogging up the drain. Okay, now that I got most of that fat out of there, we got about 4 cups of liquid. We'll move it over here to a pan on the stove, and we're just going to pour it in here. I'll turn it up to about medium-high heat, and we're just going to let this come to a boil, and we'll let it reduce. And I'll go ahead and we'll let this come to boil, and it's going to reduce all that water and stuff out there, and we're left with a thicker sauce. Okay, now we've got this liquid to a light boil here. We're going to stir it around occasionally. I'm going to keep it to a light boil like that for at least 10 minutes. Then we're going to check the consistency of it. So now I got my little rooster in there, my little buddy. He's helping me out. And see this? This is still some of that fat here on the sides. I'm going to go ahead and get some of that out with a spoon. Always just keep defatting as long as you want to. We'll let this go, like I said, at least about 10 minutes, then we'll check and see how thick it is. Okay, so it's reduced here for about 10-12 minutes, and I don't want it to get too much thinner than this because we're going to add a little bit of roux to this, and it's going to thicken it up. So I'll probably reduce it by about 1/4 or 1/3. So I'm going to go ahead and pour it back in a measuring cup because we're going to let it cool down a little bit more now. And then we'll see exactly how much it's reduced. Oh wow, it's reduced by half. So we got 2 cups of liquid now. It's reduced by half, so that's good. We'll let that cool down for a minute, and meanwhile we're going to make us a little roux. Okay, now I've melted 3 tablespoons of butter on medium-high heat. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of flour. I'll make a little roux here. So we put this flour just for a minute in this butter. This is what's going to use to thicken this gravy up. You know, if you were having like French dips or something, you want an au jus and you didn't want any thickness to it, you would just use what we have here, the reduced stock or broth from cooking the roast. I'm just going to stir this around for a minute or so just to get some of that flour taste out of there. Don't let it stop burning. Okay, then we're going to add the cooled stock, the reduced stock, a little bit at a time here. And it's going to start to thicken up really quick. And about half right there, we'll stir this in. In fact, I'm going to switch over to a whisk. Be a little better for breaking that stuff up. You see how it's getting nice, brown, thick here, just how we want it. Go ahead with the rest of it, just a little bit by little bit. And it's perfect. I tasted it. I went ahead and tasted my broth there. Make sure it didn't need any salt and pepper or anything, but it didn't, because I salt and peppered that roast really good. If you remember from earlier. Put the rest of that in. Just stir this on in. Okay. Now it seems a little bit thin right here, but it's going to thicken up, trust me. In fact, we're going to have to probably add a little bit more liquid. So I'm going to let it sit here and simmer just for a second. So every time it starts to bubble, I'm going to go ahead and stir it. Okay, it's just cooked for a minute here, and it's going ahead and start to thicken up. The taste is perfect. All it needs now is a little bit of cream, or half and half. I'm going to add just a little pour like that, and it's probably about maybe a quarter of a cup. And this is just going to cut that really, really rich, well, that really strong beef taste. It's going to give a nice little richness. It's going to be really, really good. I'm going to go ahead and taste that. I think that would be just perfect. 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 Go ahead and cut this off, move it to the side. Okay, now I'm going to make a plate. Start off with a little bit of nice fluffy white rice. Get some wonderful chunks of this roast beef. It's just wonderful. Get some of these mushrooms, some of these carrots, the onion. Okay. You can see that there. See how that roast beef is just perfect temperature. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of this gravy on top of there. Just give it a nice little coating with that gravy. Wow. That is just wonderful right there. That's going to be a delicious dish. Go ahead and taste it just a little bit with that gravy and that roast beef and get me a little mushroom there. Bite. That is delicious. A1 dish right there. Really got to try this.